I was 22 when I moved back home to Phoenix, Arizona after graduating college. It wasn't part of my 5-year plan, but life doesn't exactly ask for permission. My dad had been recovering from a mild stroke, and I wanted to help. That's when I met Vanessa. Technically, she'd been around for a year. Dad married her quietly at the courthouse in Las Vegas while I was finishing my last semester. I hadn't even known he was dating seriously. He told me afterward like it was an afterthought. "She makes me happy," he'd said. And after everything he'd been through, I wanted that for him. Vanessa was polished. Designer handbags. Bright white smile. The kind of woman who posted filtered selfies with captions about gratitude and new beginnings. She hugged me the first day I moved back in. "We're going to be such a great little family," she said sweetly. But within a week, the sweetness started curdling. She rearranged the house. My mom's old china? Packed away. Family photos? Replaced with framed quotes about fresh starts. Even my mom's piano benchware used to sit and hum old country songs was moved into storage because it didn't fit the aesthetic. I swallowed my discomfort for my dad's sake. The real problem started when I went looking for my mom's jewelry box. My mom didn't own much, but she had 3 pieces that mattered. Her wedding ring, a sapphire necklace passed down from my grandmother, and a small gold bracelet she wore every day. She had promised them to me years ago. "Someday, when you build your own life," she'd said. The jewelry box had always been in the top drawer of her dresser, but when I checked, it was gone. I asked my dad first. He looked confused. I haven't touched it. So I asked Vanessa. She didn't even blink. "Oh, that," she said casually. "I sold it." I felt like the floor disappeared. "You what?" She shrugged. "We needed extra cash for medical bills, and honestly, it was just sitting there, collecting dust." Things are just things. Those weren't just things. They were the last physical pieces of my mother. "You had no right," I said, my voice shaking. Vanessa crossed her arms. "This is my house now. What's in it is our responsibility. You're an adult. Try acting like one." That's when I knew 2 things. First, my dad had no idea she'd done this. Second, Vanessa thought I was powerless. What she didn't know was that my mom had been careful, painfully careful. Before she passed, she'd updated her will, and I had a copy. I spent the night in my childhood bedroom, staring at the ceiling, replaying Vanessa's smug shrug over and over. My mom's jewelry? Gone. Sold, gone. The thought made my stomach twist, but anger gave me focus. Vanessa thought I was helpless, but she had underestimated me. She didn't know I had already learned to fight for what was mine. The next morning, I started quietly gathering information. I asked subtle questions about bank accounts, credit card statements, and where she had casually sold my mom's pieces. She flinched the first time I brought it up, just slightly, enough to know she knew I suspected. I kept my tone light, almost amused, so she wouldn't panic. I dug deeper. It didn't take long to uncover that. Vanessa had used a small local pawn shop in Scottsdale. A quick call confirmed my worst suspicion. The sapphire necklace had been sold for a fraction of its value, the bracelet as well. And the wedding ring, my mom's wedding ring, was still sitting there, unsold, waiting for the highest offer. I didn't call the pawn shop immediately. I let Vanessa think she had time. I started small, leaving little reminders around the house. A newspaper clipping about pawn fraud subtly placed on the kitchen counter. Casual mentions of estate law in conversation. She laughed at first. "You're overreacting," she said. But I saw the flicker of unease in her eyes. Meanwhile, I quietly enlisted help. My best friend, Tyler, was a tech whiz, and he helped me pull together evidence. Emails, texts, and even security footage showing Vanessa handling the jewelry box. I documented every move, choose, every lie, every small smirk she thought was safe. Then came the sweet part, timing. Vanessa loved control, but she hated confrontation. I knew her favorite weekend getaway was coming up, spa retreat she had bragged about for weeks. I waited until she left, pretending to be oblivious. While I executed the first phase of my plan, I went to the pawn shop with all the documentation I had. The staff remembered her vividly, and they were cooperative when I explained the situation. I offered to pay fair market value for the wedding ring and bracelet, under the guise of restoring family heirlooms, and they agreed. The sapphire necklace, unfortunately, had been sold to another buyer, but I noted every detail for potential recovery later. By the time Vanessa returned, I had replaced the missing pieces with exact replicas temporarily, giving her no immediate way to suspect what had happened. I even left the original documents, bank statements, emails, and pawnshop receipts neatly in a folder on my dad's desk, labeled for transparency. When she saw it, her smile faltered. Not completely, she tried, but I could see the calculations running behind her eyes. She realized she had underestimated me. For the first time, I tasted the kind of control she had always wielded over me. But I wasn't done yet, not even close. This was just the beginning. Vanessa strutted in that afternoon, like she owned the world, heels clicking on the hardwood. She paused at the desk, squinting at the folder I had left. "What's this?" she asked, feigning casual curiosity. I shrugged, leaning against the doorway. "Just some paperwork I thought Dad should see. Transparency is important, right?" Her eyes flicked over the documents, lingering on the pawnshop receipts. I could see the gears turning in her head. Panic? Maybe. Anger? Definitely. She opened her mouth, then closed it, trying to summon a calm smile. How did you... She started, but I interrupted. I just wanted to make sure everything stays. Family heirlooms, for instance. Her breathing was shallow now, hands tightening on the edge of the desk. Vanessa had always thrived on control, but suddenly, she didn't have any. Every lie she'd counted on was exposed. Every manipulation I had documented. That night, I found the real fun began. Vanessa texted my dad, pretending to be casual. "We need to talk about my name. She's being difficult." I watched him, unsuspecting, carefully forwarding me the message. Perfect. I saved every word. The next morning, I started planting coincidences around the house. I'd leave the folder open on the kitchen table, strategically placed so Dad could see it without Vanessa noticing. I would mention casually, "I spoke with the pawnshop manager today." They remembered Vanessa very clearly. She tried to intervene once, cutting in with a laugh. "You're imagining things?" But Dad's curiosity was growing. He glanced at me, worried. That hesitation, he was starting to question her. Then came the first big crack. Vanessa had been throwing little accidents my way. Spilled drinks, hidden bills, unnecessary rules. I mirrored her tactics, subtly but smarter. I started leaving small, accidental notes for Dad showing how Vanessa had been manipulating finances and minimizing my mom's belongings. It worked. Dad asked questions. Vanessa's calm veneer slipped. I could hear the tension in her voice rise every time. Dad mentioned my mom's jewelry, but I didn't stop at paperwork. I went one step further. I began recovering other things Vanessa had redecorated or stored away. My mom's old books, photos, even some personal letters Vanessa had hidden. Every time she tried to claim, "It's just clutter," I returned them publicly in front of Dad. Her reactions were priceless. The smirk faded, replaced by thinly veiled frustration. Her posture stiffened. She stopped calling me difficult to my face and started muttering behind her hands when Dad was out of the room. I realized something thrilling. Vanessa had underestimated me my entire life. She had thought control came from fear. But I had something stronger evidence, strategy, and a reason to fight for what was mine. I was no longer just a powerless stepdaughter. I was a storm she hadn't anticipated. By the time Vanessa realized, I wasn't just going to quietly accept her thefts and lies, it was too late. I had Dad's attention, the evidence meticulously documented, and a clear path to expose her manipulations without putting myself at risk. It started with a dinner she tried to host to reassert family harmony the entire night. I played the perfect picture of sweetness, like a naive daughter who didn't understand adult decisions. I complimented the food, laughed at her jokes, and even offered to help clear the table. All the while, Dad's eyes kept flicking to me, curious, skeptical. Then I subtly laid the first card on the table. While refilling her wine, I accidentally, deliberately left the pawnshop receipt sticking out of my bag. Dad noticed immediately. "Is this?" he asked, lifting it carefully. Vanessa's smile faltered. It's nothing, just some paperwork for a friend," she stammered. Dad's brow furrowed. "A friend?" "Vanessa, this shows jewelry from Mom's collection. You sold it." The color drained from her face. I stayed calm, as if I didn't notice, while inside I felt a rush of vindication. The next few days were a careful chess game. I kept documenting every lie, every manipulative act. Emails, texts, photographs, even small recordings of conversations where she tried to gaslight me or twist facts. Each piece stacked higher and higher. Like bricks in a wall, I was building around the truth. Then came the moment I knew everything would topple. My dad had scheduled a meeting with a financial advisor to discuss family, assets, and estate planning. I made sure all evidence of Vanessa's schemes was ready to present. When she arrived, she was still unaware of the full scope. I calmly handed Dad the folder, letting it spill open on the table. He glanced down, then at me, then at Vanessa. The receipts, emails, and notes were there, each one a small nail in the coffin of her control. "Do you want to explain this?" I asked gently, looking directly at her. Vanessa's face twisted. Her voice cracked. I only did what I thought was best for the family. By selling Mom's jewelry and hiding her things? I countered. By trying to make me look ungrateful and rebellious? That's your idea of best? Silence. For the first time, she couldn't manipulate the narrative. Dad's disappointment was clear, and I realized the power had shifted completely. She had spent a year thinking she ruled this house. In reality, she had dug her own trap. And just like that, the storm I had quietly built for months finally hit full force. I wasn't just reclaiming what was mine, I was reclaiming my mother's memory, my father's trust, and my own voice. Vanessa didn't know it yet, but the next chapter of this story would leave her wishing she had never walked through our door. The following week felt like walking through a storm that I had conjured. But now, every gust of wind was mine to control. Vanessa avoided me, avoided Dad, even avoided the kitchen where I made my morning coffee. Her carefully constructed world was crumbling, and the anxiety she had planted in my father's home now boomeranged back onto her. I used the momentum. I arranged a meeting with Dad and a family attorney under the pretense of updating his will and financial documents. Vanessa predictably tried to sit in, smiling that fake smile that had once intimidated me. "Everything's fine," she said. "I just want to help." I handed Dad the folder again, this time with a confident smile. "I think it's better if you review everything before making any decisions, Dad." The attorney read through the documentation, emails, pawnshop receipts, photographs, and recordings. Each item revealed manipulation, deceit, and financial misconduct. Dad's face darkened as he pieced it together. Finally, he looked at Vanessa. "You sold her mother's jewelry without telling anyone?" I just wanted to," she started, but Dad cut her off. "You took advantage of me and you tried to gaslight my daughter in our own home. That's not helping. That's controlling." Vanessa's face went pale. Her confidence had evaporated completely. For the first time, she was vulnerable, exposed. I felt a thrill, not just for the victory, but for the justice of it. Dad made a decision that shocked her. He signed documents removing her name from the house and making it clear that Mom's belongings and the inheritance meant for me would remain untouched. The attorney explained that any attempt to reclaim or sell them could result in legal consequences. Vanessa swallowed hard, realizing she had no foothold. Then came the icing on the cake. I revealed that I had already tracked down the sapphire necklace, the only piece that had been lost, through a private buyer. I recovered it and placed it carefully in my mother's jewelry box, back in my room, where it belonged. Vanessa could only watch as I restored everything she had tried to erase. Photos back on the walls, Letters in their envelopes. My mom's piano bench polished and in the living room. Each item a silent declaration. This house, this family, this legacy was mine to honor. I smiled at Dad. "Thanks for trusting me," I said. He nodded, finally seeing me as the woman my mom had always believed I would be. Vanessa never fully recovered. She moved out quietly a month later, taking only the things she could claim as her own, leaving behind the mansion she had tried to control. She had underestimated me, and it cost her everything. In the end, I didn't just get my mom's things back, I reclaimed my childhood, my dignity, and my family. Vanessa had taught me one valuable lesson: never let anyone dictate the terms of your life. I had won, and for the first time in years, I felt truly at peace.